everybody, AJ Rizik here, and today we're going to talk about my past 1 month experience with KDE on Opensuse. Now, about a month ago, I was looking for recommendations on what is the best KDE experience out there. And I've tried Chakra, I've tried what's the other one? Chaos, very good KDE distributions. But I'd done those before. I wanted something different, and a lot of people recommended KDE on Opensuse. It's been probably 5 6 years since I ran with Opensuse, so I was like, well, let's give it a try. I haven't experienced that distribution in a while, so let's give it a shot. Originally, I set up Opensuse Leap, which is the LTS. Or their version of an LTS. Older packages, much more stable. And then about half of the time I spent on OpenSUSE Tumbleweed, which is their rolling release, much newer packages, so a lot less testing. But to be quite honest, I found it very stable as well. So, having said all that, part of this video we're going to talk about what I thought of OpenSUSE in general, and then part of it, sort of my love-hate relationship with KDE. There is a lot of stuff to like about OpenSUSE. One of the big things, I've got it open right here, is the Yast Control Center. Think of it as one-stop shopping for all of your administrative needs. Um, you know, Add software, get software updates, configure your software repositories, hardware information, printer, scanner, uh, configure the sound, bootloader, kernel set. I mean, just the list goes on. It's all, like I said, one-stop shopping here, and uh, I really like it for myself and a lot of other. I wouldn't necessarily say just advanced users, but maybe medium experience, I guess you could say, users would probably like it. I don't think that, and I mean, this is just my opinion, I don't necessarily think it is a great thing for the new users out there, because you do have easy access to a lot of things that could potentially screw up your system if you don't know what you're doing. Uh, so from that standpoint, maybe not quite such a good thing for the new users out there. But for, at least the moderately experienced user, a lot of these things you may normally have to go into the command line and tweak and play around with. And not that I can't do that, it's just nice and convenient that you've got all this stuff all in one place. So, I really like that. As far as performance on OpenSUSE, it has been good both with Leap and with Tumbleweed. Um, Really, the one gripe that I've got has been the slow boot up times. Um, Initially, my boot up times were somewhere in the neighborhood of about 1 minute to boot up. Now, for those that are coming off of Windows, that may sound like a good boot up time, but considering that I've got on one of my testing partitions here Solus, which is booting up in less than 10 seconds. 1 minute is just an insane amount of time to wait for it to boot up. Now, I was going through the system D settings, and I found that the biggest culprit on slowing me down was Wicked, which is the network management. And I tweaked a few settings in there and managed to get the boot times down to around 30-35 seconds, but it's still way longer than what I'm used to on a lot of other distributions. So I do have that one gripe. Now, personally, on my desktop computer, I turn it on and when I get started to work, and it might be hours before it gets turned off again, so it's not really a big deal. And if you're in a server environment, who cares? It gets turned on, it never gets turned off again. But especially on like a laptop, that would be really annoying. And like I said, I'm used to the really fast boot times. I'm running UEFI. I've got SSDs on this computer, so I'm used to really fast boot time. So that was kind of annoying to me. The selection of software was pretty phenomenal. Now, the official repositories do not have quite as much available software as, say, Ubuntu. However, uh, third-party repositories, there's a lot of them out there. It brings a lot of software into the mix, and it's a simple, get on Firefox, do a search, Opensuse sleep, whatever the name of the package you're looking for, you'll find it, and then do a simple one-click install, and boom, you're ready to go. So from that aspect, it was fairly easy. Now, on the flip side, it was very time-consuming setting up both OpenSUSE Sleep and Tumbleweed with the additional repositories necessary so that you could have full media codec, um, uh, uh, DVD encoding, Flash, all the stuff that if you're on a Ubuntu distribution, you might go and install. Uh, what is it? The Ubuntu restricted extras. All one package. Not here. You're going to end up installing more than a couple repositories so that you can add all that kind of stuff. And while it was not difficult to do, it was very time consuming. So initial setup, this is not a distribution, especially if you want to have all of those codecs available. This is not a distribution where you install it and you are ready to go out of the box. So let's turn our attention to KDE. I have something of a love-hate relationship with KDE because there are some things that I really, really love, and there are things that just drive me up the freaking wall. Okay, let's start with Dolphin, which I believe, let me open it up here and I'll drag it on over. I think Dolphin is pretty much the best default file manager on any desktop environment. Uh, you can easily, right here, you got single click to open and close the dual pane, single pane modes. That's cool. You want to make shortcuts over here in your places, easy to do. Let's just grab my Dropbox folder here. We'll drag it right on over, slide it in there, boom, it's right there. You don't like the order over here, just go and move it around, which is very much unlike in Gnome files, used to be called Nautilus, and also Nemo and Kaja, all of which were based on Nautilus. You have this little places thing, and then down here, separate from it, you have bookmarks that you've made yourself, and the default places you really can't change that. And so you end up having, you got some bookmarks up here, you got some bookmarks down here, and it is completely disorganized. This kind of setup, it makes sense. And if you don't want to see some of this right here, well, you can go into settings, get rid of it. You can set up Dolphin the exact way that you want. Um, your right click menu, it's got plenty of stuff in there. I wouldn't say it's really overloaded. Um, but you've got some really nice features there. You can easily, like I'm in this in my Kden Live folder here, right click it, go down to actions. Do I want to open the terminal here? Boom, terminal is opened right there, and you're ready to go to do any terminal work that you want. um, Dolphin is an awesome file manager. Another one is Spectacle. Let me go drag this over as well, which is for taking your screenshots. Plenty of options here. You can, and do you want to do a single monitor, dual monitor? Because I'm running dual monitors here. This picture you're seeing is dual monitors. I can take a picture just the current screen, the whole thing. I can select an area under the window, just all kinds of options here. When I take a screenshot, I can copy it to clipboard, I can save it and exit. I can export directly to GIMP or another service. I can go to an online service. Just all kinds of options there. Much better than the very bare basic screenshot tools that come with a lot of different desktop environments. And there's other KDE apps that I really like. Kdenlive. I've been using that video editor ever since I started doing this YouTube channel. So awesome thing right there. And like I said, there's others. I love the fact that I can set up this desktop however I want to. Um, if I want one panel here, I can do that. I can have dual panels, top and bottom. I can make it set up so it looks almost like Ubuntu Unity. Just all kinds of options, all kinds of widgets. Tons and tons of options there. However, there is a negative side to all those options. The negative side to having all those options is you have to configure them. Unless you get on a distribution that has a pre-configured KDE setup, that is, they've really taken the time to do a lot of configuration, um, rather than just leave everything set at the default. um, you're going to spend a lot of time configuring the desktop. And even so, if you are a person like me, when you have all of those configuration options available, yes, I love doing it, but I can't help but fiddle with it. So I have found that as much as I like KDE, I am not as productive as I am on, say, the Gnome desktop or on Cinnamon or XFCE, because I spend all my time fiddling with the settings, changing configurations, trying something new. And, doing that kind of thing is fun and I get some enjoyment out of it, but I'm not getting any work done. Another source of aggravation for me has been Contact. Actually, mainly it's been Kmail, which is the email application, but I'll get to that in just a second. Okay, Contact, this is a personal information manager. Think of it as one-stop shopping for email, contacts, calendar, to-do list, RSS feeds, journal, pop-up notes. In theory, this seems like a really cool idea. Everything is organized in one place. Uh, you want to do your email, check out your contacts, your calendar, all that stuff in one place. All that, it makes sense, okay? Except that KDE being what it is, there's tons and tons of options to go and configure. Unfortunately, you have to configure those tons and tons of options, and especially Kmail, which is the email application. I found it to be a freaking nightmare to set it up. Um, and I'm not a new user with Kmail, and every time I have to go and try and set this thing up, it's I just cringe. And the thing is that admittedly, I don't have a single email account. I got like 5 emails that I got to keep track of. So there is a little bit more involvement for just the person that has a single Gmail account and that sort of thing. But I know I am not the only person in the boat with multiple email accounts and that sort of thing. For me, what I have found to be the easiest way to set up Kmail is to install Thunderbird. Set up Thunderbird, which for me, it takes me less than 5 minutes to set up all those email accounts in Thunderbird, and then go and you can do an import of settings into Kmail. I should not have to go and install another application so that I can set up this application. And like I said, you don't have to do it that way, but I found that is by far an easier route to go than trying to set up Kmail on your own. KDE is much better at dealing with GTK applications than GTK is dealing with KDE applications. Here in your system settings, you can go to application style, go down to here where it says Gnome applications, and you can see you can pick your different themes for GTK2, GTK3, set your fonts, toolbar style, icons, all that kind of stuff. If you are on, say, a Gnome shell and you are running a KDE application, maybe you're running Kden Live or something similar, you're probably going to have to go and install some KDE libraries and whatnot, so that you can not even just integrate the style. Sometimes without adding some of those KDE libraries, you can't read the fonts or anything like that. So it's almost a necessity. It's not just about looks. It's almost a necessity so that you can use the application. So, I appreciate the forethought that, KDE, the development team, they have thought ahead that, hey, the person may be using some GTK applications on our desktop. Whereas over on the GNOME side of things, it almost feels like they've said, hey, we're only concerned with GTK and screw everything else. So, I definitely am happy about that. Um, Now, and I keep having to bring up these things that are a pain in the butt. I did a whole video on my woes with KDE and Qt when it comes to multiple monitors. And, I'll leave a link to the video down below if you haven't seen that. But, long story short, I basically had to scrap the the management of the monitors from the system settings and go and configure Xorg myself. And I realized that part of that it comes from upstream from Qt, but at the same time, you would think that something as simple as managing the monitors would be easy to do. Other desktops manage to do it. Why is it that the in KDE my desktop settings are, they can't be saved and they always keep going back to default, or sometimes they can't even figure out that a freaking monitor is installed. But then I go and log out, log back in, and lo and behold, it's now decided that such and such monitor is now connected, but all of my widgets and my panels are in random places. And like I said, the only thing that fixed that was going and configuring Xorg myself. So the question now, after 1 month, is would I keep Opensuse as my main desktop? Um, yeah, I would definitely do that. With the exception of the slow boot up time, pretty much all of the issues that I have had have been with KDE and not with OpenSUSE. So having said that, what I would like to do is go and do another test run, I guess you could say, this time using a different desktop environment, maybe GNOME, maybe XFCE, you know, who knows, kind of have to see how that went. Um, Now in the next month, I am going to be switching to a not only different desktop environment, but a different distribution, and I'm not going to tell you what it's going to be in this video. You're just going to have to find out by watching uh, when I produce a video on what I'm using at that point. There's a couple of you out there that are probably watching this that already know what I'm going to be running, but for the rest of it, you're just going to have to watch the video to see that. Um, but anyway, I think that just about finishes things up here. Got questions, comments, all that kind of stuff, leave it down below. I try to get to it as soon as possible. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe, and please share this video on every form of social media known to mankind. And I hope to see you all on my next video. Thanks a lot.